So it has been over a year now. Equestria Girls, A Balanced Perspective. My first step into the Brony reviewing place, the Rift, that kind of thing. So we come back, and it's Equestria Girls 2, Rainbow Rocks.
Which is just freaking awesome. I love it.
Well, of course you do. I can't imagine why, Mr. Sunset Shimmer fanboy extraordinaire.
Yeah, I love Sunset Shimmer. She is my waifu. And actually, just disclaimer for anyone watching, I have a huge, huge Sunset Shimmer bias.
I find it funny. Last year, it was me being neutral. Voice was all negative and Pass is all positive. Now we're all kind of the same.
I think it's because the first time we took when we took different perspectives, we didn't have just the positive, neutral, negative perspective. We had the conceptual basis, the first time basis, and as the movie as a movie on its own basis.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I think we're judging it on how does it as not just a sequel, but comparatively to the other movie. So
Right.
we really don't have much to go on from here.
Yeah.
And also, just the natural tendency is always towards a more positive outlook. So I was right in the first one.
But yes. Greetings, every peoples. This is your cult personality. ToonKriticY2K is named. Toon's the name of my game. And I am joined today, of course, by...
Fast analysis.
And Voice of Reason.
Okay, so let's get two things out of the way. One, we're not going to cover the synopsis. If you're going to this review, it's been a few days. I think you already know what happened in it, and you want to just get straight to our thoughts. And second, if you haven't seen it, well...
Why are you watching this video?
Major spoilers incoming. I'm going to start off first with my thoughts. We're going to go through this in a sort of structure, what we liked, what we didn't like, and comparisons to the last movie. So, what did I like about this movie? For one thing, there's a lot better flow to it than the last one. There's a great structure to it. We actually have more of a, we actually know what the villain is going to do this time, as opposed to, yay, the villain is here. We know what she's going to do, but we didn't really think the plan would work, in a sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I could add to that in this one, it really felt like reasonable time was going by, whereas in the first one, it kind of felt very rushed. It felt like they got the song in, then they got the gymnasium thing in, and then they pretty much had the entire school eating out of the palm of their hands. Whereas in this one, you go through a much cleaner transition of, things are getting worse and worse and worse. And then, it gets so bad that they have to realize what they've done and how they've really not been doing the right thing this entire movie. I mean, it was just way better structured.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also another thing, at least with, I know this is jumping a bit ahead with the comparison. I think with this movie, the flaws don't seem... the flaws that are there in the movie don't seem as out there as they were with the previous movie.
Other than the soundtrack, which was great, there's a much better soundtrack compared to last year.
Absolutely.
With a lot more rock themes and Trixie and Rainbow Dash and, of course, Sunset Shimmer finally get to sing.
Yeah.
The villains are really great this time around. The Dazzlings, I think there was a great chemistry between them. They're up there on like my favorite villains list now because as opposed to just three characters teaming up together to just take on like the main six, these three actually have distinct personalities. We can go off of like I guess the goofiness between two of them and the menacing way that in the end they don't mess around. Their plan went pretty much as planned.
Yeah, I think
up until Sunset Shimmer. Well, until Sunset Shimmer.
Yes, until...
Yeah, I think one of the big things, at least with this year, in terms of villains, is that the Dazzlings, Adagio, Sonata, and Aria, the whole big thing is that they're trying to they're trying to feed off of negative energy. So basically, they're the mythological version of internet trolls. I was looking, so it's like we feed off negative ratings. Like, yeah, they're fucking internet trolls.
Yeah, all we got to do is just... Oh, no, here's what we got to do. All we got to do is just take these three characters into real life, put them at BronyCon, and then just have one of them yell, "Rarity is worst pony," and then you're going to have arguing left and right. They will get drunk off
If
of
you
all the
say
negative
any of the
energy.
main six are worst pony, you're going to get tons of arguments.
Yeah, and then when I was watching I think the opening scene where the Green Mist, like, oh, it's the whole debate about the first movie.
That's what I was thinking too, actually.
But again, with their whole plan about gaining the equestrian magic, I think was actually well thought out. The idea was that they wanted the main six to succeed in their whole ventures. They wanted
so that the other Canterlot High student would want to give them a shove. And it just so happened that the main six, or the Humane Five and Twilight, just were playing right into their hands because they were just getting progressively more, out of touch with each other. And I think maybe you could argue that that had something to do with the Dazzling's magic, but it seemed like it was a lot more natural than just the magic-induced song caused them to fight. It seemed more natural. It seemed like they actually had a legitimate problem.
Yeah.
Can I also just say that I love the design for the villains, especially when they go all evil and they become like sea dragons or something. That is really freaking cool.
Yeah, their sire
way better than what we got last time, which looked like a freaking Bratz doll gone wild.
Yeah, well, actually, something that I actually just thought of now. With in terms of like the plans to make sure to make sure both plans go through, it's almost they're running parallel to each other. The girls don't want to fully reveal their plan to Sunset Shimmer. They don't want to go all out ears and tails. Meanwhile, the Dazzlings are just biding their time until they can actually get them to start arguing with each other.
Well, actually, one interesting element to the way that the sort of antagonist worked in this movie is in the first one, there was much more of a cleaner sort of rivalry between Sunset and Twilight, whereas in this one, there wasn't really that much of a connection at all between the Humane Five and Twilight. Like, they were almost completely isolated from each other the entire time throughout the film. They only basically saw each other in the very beginning when Twilight was like, friendship of magic, and it was all awkward. And then they kind of basically fought against each other in the end. And through the majority of the movie, like, they're just working in their completely different spheres, both, as you said, trying to hide what, their secret weapon till the very end. I would actually say that Sunset Shimmer actually kind of played as the sort of connection between both groups, because the Dazzlings actually did have the sort of equivalent dark alleyway conversation with Sunset Shimmer in the second movie, similar to the first one in, between Sunset and Twilight. And
by the way, I just want to take back every bad thing I've ever said about Sunset. I believe I owe an apology first off, because I kept calling her Sun Shit Simmer. And I realize now that this movie basically just said, oh, Sunset's a bad character. Let's just make her the main character, the main focus, the one that gets all the development, the one who gets completely reformed in the end and basically becomes more important than Twilight. Okay, I'm sorry, Hasbro. Don't hurt me. I'm sorry.
As someone who has been a fan of Sunset Shimmer from the very beginning, it's fun now to not be the one who's exiled, because let me tell you, Sunset Shimmer fans, we didn't really have the greatest rep.
You didn't, especially after the first movie.
Yeah, especially...
You had more people hating you than liking you.
Yeah. The comment section to our first video last year can verify. There's something here that I really want to hit at, because I don't think that people truly understand why I liked Sunset Shimmer in the first movie, despite how much I tried to hammer it in. And because I've been such a perfectionist in getting my entire bit on Sunset Shimmer out, because there's so much there, I'm just going to go ahead and tell people right now why I like Sunset Shimmer, from the first movie, and why people actually ask me this, if I would love the Dazzlings after this movie, because apparently I just love Sons of Jimmer because she was the antagonist of the first movie.
I really liked the Dazzlings personally. I think
No, I did too, but for me, like, I would say that my liking of the Dazzlings is way more superficial than my liking of Sons of Shimmer back in the day. Well, for the first movie, because with the Dazzlings, I like them because of their group dynamic, something that is very kind of, it's about their character traits. It's about the personality there. It's not necessarily about depth or development or anything that I'm not that interested in them. I'm interested in just watching them because they're fun to watch, especially Sonata. I mean, the dopey comic relief. I love that.
What?
Apparently, she's the new waifu of everybody now.
Voiced by
Oh, she's not mine.
she I guess she's my second waifu because she's also voiced by Marika Handriska. So,
Oh, Gilda. Okay, I see.
But so basically, what I was going on is that the reason why the Dazzlings, I would say, is I like them more superficially, is because my liking of Sons of Shimmer in the first movie, and pretty much for a long time, really, I mean, up until this movie, it's not been based on character traits at all. It's been based on what I like to call past inference character development. I like Sons of Shimmer because of all the inferences that could be drawn, reasonable inferences, mind you, about her past, and thus, by those inferences, it became a sort of point A to point B thing.
well, outside of me listening to the entire soundtrack for like a week straight now.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's been.
Oh, same here.
Yeah, I've been listening. Well, I haven't officially bought it on iTunes yet, but I've been listening to the reps on YouTube, and I've been jamming to the music a lot more than say the previous soundtrack. Like the only really like compared to Question Girls, the only really song that I actually really liked was Time to Come Together because it actually connected with the theme of the movie. With here, I can pick like I'm having trouble trying to figure out which one I actually want to put as my favorite.
Yeah.
It's probably a toss up between like Under Our Spell.
Under Our Spell.
And,
that was an amazing one,
Yeah.
especially with the animation they put with that, like the tournament style. Like, oh man, that was great.
mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. For me, I think it's either like Battle of the Bands or the finale song.
Yeah.
Like the finale song gives me goosebumps.
I
have to. Wait.
I just wish that on the soundtrack that they added the musical bits, like the musical battle bits with Twilight doing her one song, her one like vocal solo in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would love that even more if they put that on the soundtrack. But no, we have to.
In terms of like just songs that had awesome stuff going on while they were played, I gotta say the friendship, or what was it, like it was the music in our hearts. It was what the Humane Five and Twilight basically did as their counter song in the very end. Once Sunset Shimmer started singing with all of them and they were singing in unison, oh my gosh, the animation that they put there, her getting her ears and her tail and then having her be in the center for all the lights that, oh man, that was just amazing.
If I recall, I'm actually going to bring up real quick a screen cap from our Skype conversation when I brought all three of us together. I would like to point out that Pass's reaction is pretty much right here. He had a joygasm over the finale.
I did. I completely did.
Actually, with me, when I saw the giant alicorn in the sky, I was doing the Dana Bride. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, they still used the Taste the Rainbow motherfucker technique.
But it was so
but
glorious.
Somehow it was better.
Well, it wasn't just better. It had Sons of Shimmers thing. It doesn't
really matter because oh my god, giant alicorn in the sky. Your argument is invalid.
Well, at least it wasn't a rainbow. It's still the Taste the Rainbow motherfucker technique, just without the rainbow.
That's always going to be used. That's all. That's just
yeah. Although I think it parallels actually the whole thing with how Tyrek was defeated, but there was that white border around it compared to again not Chrysalis, Discord, Nightmare Moon, and Sunshine Simmer the first time, it was you can actually see it was a lot whiter.
True. Yeah. Yep. No, I can agree and attest to that.
Right.
I like the comedy a lot more here.
Yeah, the
Oh,
comedy
yeah.
was much better.
Well, like the cameos, the way that they used the cameos this time around was perfect. Like in the first movie, you had instances where you would see Trixie, like the whole peanut butter cracker thing. That was completely useless. Whereas
But now Trixie actually has a role here. How's it feel, Trixie, to be relegated to the one that does the dirty work for the villains, huh? Not so fun, is it?
the way that they used Trixie, especially Trixie, was good. Like I loved that they managed to like have the Dazzlings fool the students that well. And I have to compliment them on the jab joke that they did at Trixie 2 times. Oh, she's gone. Wait, no, she's over there. I love that joke because hearing Trixie go on her stupid, I'm great and powerful tirade when she's not performing a damn show, it's annoying. I need something to release the tension of that.
Thank you, Pinkie Pie.
Yes.
Thank you, Pinkie Pie. Yes. Let's all thank Pinkie Pie for embarrassing Trixie.
Still best pony. Although, okay, it's well, speaking of Pinkie Pie, I think this is her best run as a side character.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, well, if you remember from, I think there's a whole thing about, especially since season 3, a lot of people were worried, like, are people gonna see Pinkie Pie as just the gag character? But again, when she's not the focus. Here, not the focus, but she still is still zany, but she acts smart. Like, for example, with the basically translating Twilight's techno jargon.
Yep.
In the first movie, I think there was and I think during the breakup scene, we're saying, "Oh, why are we having fun right now?"
Or yeah, I think it went something like the rain booms are anything but fun. Like fun. I didn't mean but fun. Well, I think that like Pinkie and just all of the Humane Five and Twilight, like every single one of them, I felt they were way more useful. The dynamic that they put in there, it made sense. It made sense that, the Humane Five, which don't have as great of a connection as the main six, mind you, like because we don't the way from the first movie.
Actually, if I may point out, something that two people pointed out to me in the comments is that these versions of the main six have not been developed at all, as opposed to like what's happened in the actual series. So this explains why Rainbow Dash is still extremely arrogant.
Still has a massive ego, but we'll get to that during the things we don't like.
So moving on then, what did we not like?
Rainbow Dash.
Rainbow Dash, god damn it, you are my waifu. Why are you acting like such a bitch? Jesus. Okay, yeah, I guess it's no secret that Rainbow Dash is my waifu, but it's just, this is one of the big things that bugged me. And even though I know now why she was acting like that, that doesn't excuse her being so extremely arrogant. This is the most arrogant that I've seen her since Mysterious Ne'er-do-well. She is more arrogant in this movie than in Mysterious Ne'er-do-well. And that hurts to say and think. She just, especially the whole Awesome As I Wanna Be song. Yay, Rainbow Dash gets to sing. But basically that song just proudly encompasses the fact that the fact that she is so cool, that she thinks she's so awesome that she needs to write a song, just basically having a big sign saying that I'm awesome. And
thanks, Sunset Shimmer, for stopping the song.
You.
Yes.
Oh my god, I can't believe I say it. Thank you, Sunset Shimmer. Something you would never ever hear me say.
No, I wasn't expecting that. She kind of just dove in and like stopped her, and I'm like, okay, thank you first off. Second of all, Rainbow Dash, I'm gonna have a talk with you later. But I can look past that because it wasn't the main focus. Thank God.
I think it actually just worked perfectly for like it was a dynamic which I could reasonably see Rainbow Dash of all the characters doing. I mean, it maybe put them in a bad light, but as we said, we have no idea.
It wasn't in a bad light for long.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad light for long, and it made sense that that there might be a bad light there. So, meh.
So, yeah, something else I didn't like, and that a few people pointed this out in the comments of my first impressions as well, is that Twilight could basically have been taken out of the story, and Sunset could have easily just filled the role.
I would have to disagree with that. I
I disagree with that too.
Yeah.
But I just don't like the fact that Twilight did barely anything.
Oh, I love it. I love that Twilight did hardly anything.
Yeah, I'm sure, Mr. Sunset Shimmer fanboy.
I mean, it fed completely into the story.
Exactly. I totally agree with you on that one. The idea is that, again, I mentioned this during my first impressions video, that we haven't really addressed the fact that everyone looks up to Twilight as the leader of the group. But this is the first time where she doesn't have the answers. She has no idea how to defeat the Dazzlers because she can't write music.
But I think that one of the big things here was that Twilight has never been able to do anything unless it's with her friends. Like, she didn't finish the magical mystery cure spell by herself. She did it with her friends.
Oh, by the way, that was a great jab at all the magical mystery cure haters.
Twilight has always, like, whenever she's been told by Celestia, you have to do this without her friends, she can never do it. She can never do it. And in this movie, the Humane Five were saying, you, Twilight, do this by yourself. We all have faith in you. There's no way, like, if the rest of the main six did this same thing to Twilight, I don't think she would be able to do it because she needs her friends for guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially...
But that also is just a minor complaint, really. It's not something that's going to bug me about the movie.
Oh, no, definitely not for me.
Yeah, I mean, there are other small nitpicks you can make, like how long did it actually take the Dazzlings to actually get to the school to implement their plan from, like, the end of the fall formal to the beginning of the community music festival.
Yeah. All we can reasonably suspect is that season 4 happened in between. Yeah.
Yeah, the idea is that, like, how long the Dazzlings took to implement their plan, like, actually getting to the school, and how does it coincide with season 4 doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It's just a side project that doesn't really affect affect how it's narratively played out.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And again, I would say that the Twilight thing, because she wasn't focusing on the Humane Five, all these problems were able to happen. So it was needed for the story to go along.
Yeah, and actually that's why I like the scene where Sunset and Twilight are just talking in the kitchen.
Oh, I love that scene.
That's some good... That right there is not only... Jesus Christ, man, calm down. That is not only some good character development, but that's also some great shipping fuel. I swear to God, this movie was trying to secretly ship these two together at every point they could.
Well, I mean, it was just a great point to demonstrate the foilness between them. Like, to really hammer home how much of a foil she is to Twilight. Love it.
Well, I also liked it because of Maud.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that little cameo from Maud, I have to admit, was pretty funny.
Walter was hungry.
There's actually one thing that I haven't said yet that there's only one thing in this movie I didn't like. And I don't dislike it that much, but I do dislike it. And I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this.
Here we go.
I'm not that keen on the scientist Twilight, the human Twilight coming into the picture.
Oh, yeah, that's...
See, my problem with it is, like, I think it can work. They can do it. Like, I have no doubt in DHX that they can implement this well. My worries are, one, where is human Twilight going to be? Please just have her be in the third movie and nothing else, because I don't like copy characters. I do not like them. And you can make them interesting. This movie showed that you can, but the main character, the character that we should probably be trying to put more, emphasis into, is a new one, is an original character, not taking Twilight, we're going to put her back in the human world, and now Twilight, the human Twilight's going to basically replace Twilight, Sunset Shimmer. I don't want that to happen, and that's the only thing I dislike
I
Twilight.
was really confused personally by the ending because I remember just watching it and I'm like, okay, the credits are done. And then I think somebody messaged me, hey, dude, did you see what happened at the end of the credits? I'm like, of course. So I go back there and I see Scientist Twilight. Okay, I agree with you, Pass. I think this could work, but at
Yep.
the same time, I'm very confused.
I'm
Because are we going to
yeah.
get to see this in Equestria Academy or are we going to wait to see this in Equestria Girls 3?
Please just make it be 3. Don't don't majorly put her into Academy. Please don't.
Unless, you know what would be funny?
What?
If it was just like a little joke at the end and they never touch upon it in the third movie.
Oh, that would be nasty.
That would piss off so many people.
But I mean, I'm pretty sure they're gonna use it.
And lastly, comparisons to the last movie. Okay, I think we're all unanimous on the fact that this was 100 times better than the first movie.
Yep. I mean, no, there is no contest. I loved the first movie, but I cannot. There's no way I can say in like good reason this second movie is worse. No, it is better. It is phenomenally better.
This is like the Terminator 2 of My Little Pony, basically.
I was gonna say it was the Red Steel 2, in comparison to the first movie.
One thing that they did here, which I thought was great in terms of how they changed things up in the first movie, is they had far less stretches in suspension of disbelief. That like in the first movie, there were a lot of things that you had to be like, okay, well, I guess that this school just happens to get really convinced off of songs. Whereas in this one, there's magic behind it. So it makes more sense. Whereas in the first one, it was just they're singing in a cafeteria and everyone starts to love everyone now because of the song.
Yeah, I think another thing was, I think we mentioned in the first movie that there's a lot of things that don't make sense just in context. With the first movie, like how the hell did Sunset get away with putting a thing on YouTube without getting suspended? Or again, I think the like the Photoshop thing, but again,
the Photoshop thing I think was probably a bigger stretch because it's like, really? You can't...
Oh, that actually kind of reminds me. Speaking of the Photoshop thing, also in unanimous agreement, Flash was even more useless in this movie.
Well, I'd say he still has no character, but he did actually have a purpose in this movie. Or
what purpose did he have? I'm missing it.
Honestly, the one talk.
Yeah, that one talk. Like, hey, it's better than the first one. It's better than the first one.
Okay, I guess I'm the only one that thinks that Flash was pointless in this.
I mean, like, he didn't do that much harm because we hardly saw him this time around.
I was like, I was watching watching when he was when he barged into the I think the first music session, and he was like, oh, is Twilight gonna be here? It's like, oh, that's cute. You still think you have a character.
The whole thing that he did in the hallway where he's like, you're so annoying. And I honestly, I thought it was really, really silly. It's like, so let me get this straight. All because she's competing against you in this arbitrary music thing. You're getting angry at her. Granted, it's magic. It's magic. It's the siren magic that's playing its effect. Just the way that he was saying it was rather silly.
Very silly. It makes me want to fucking smack him over there with a newspaper. Just be like, dude, come on. You're not this stupid. I don't give a damn if it is siren magic. You shouldn't be acting like this.
Actually, this is something we didn't cover. What do you thought about the book? The Sunset's Journal.
Ooh.
You mean the plot device?
Yeah.
It was a plot device.
It was strictly a plot device.
Yeah,
but it was still an interesting plot device because just think, if that book hadn't been on the top of the pile when it showed up in the castle, Twilight probably would never have known that it was active.
But like...
No, wait, no, I take that back. Probably Celestia or Luna would have picked up on it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, and actually, that's probably what happened when they did say that the books were traveling from I think it was the Candlelight Library to Twilight's library. Mm-hmm. I think that's actually what happened when Celestia saw the... My guess is what happened between then is that Celestia saw the book vibrating and glowing, and just put it on top.
It was like a freaking cell phone of sorts because it was just like vibrating and glowing. I'm like, oh, so that's the equivalent of texting, I guess.
Or in the question term, scripting.
Oh God,
Lol.
that's something I've never heard before.
I don't know about that. Maybe, but that's just headcanon. The one thing that I think is interesting is that this is essentially not Star Fox, Sunset Shimmer's Spike, because Spike is how Twilight has been sending letters to Celestia. This book is her Spike.
Wow. And it has less character than Spike too, so it's a fucking book.
Hey, at least it gives you exactly what you expect with it. It's a book. That's all it gives you. Spike is just a disappointment.
Now, if the book started talking and had eyes, then I think I would kill myself.
Yeah, I think we all would be pretty much like...
Torch it.
This. Nope, throw it in the fire. Nope, it has eyes, it can talk, it is sentient, burn it.
It's like, no, we are not... Look, we already got in trouble with Disney for This Day Ari. We're not getting in trouble again.
Because according to Friendship is Magic, magical books are always the answer.
This is actually the future. Books, scripting. Make it a thing.
Yeah, don't script and drive.
Oh, hang on, I'll be right back. I got to get my books ringing.
What happens if you run out of pages then?
I have to pay. Wait. I have to. It's a new.
You have to go get the newest model or something.
The next edition.
Oh, the next. oh, I've never thought of that before. But yeah, and lastly, conclusion. What do we think overall of this movie? For me, like I said, it's definitely improved off of the things from the last movie. We were, I think, not expecting it to be as good. I think a lot of us came in with some pretty low expectations, thinking it was probably going to be just as bad. I didn't. I thought it was going to be all right, and it turned out to be better than I thought. There's great development for the characters. There's only a few minor nitpicks, really, as opposed to anything I have majorly to complain against. Because the major complaints I had were pretty much easily solved when I read through the comments. So I think this is, like, one of the best animated movies that I've seen this year, as opposed to, like, I think just being a Friendship is Magic movie. So I will give it let's see. I'm going to be fair, and I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
For me, I would have to say that this movie is, it's a 10 out of 10. Like, it is solidly good. There was only a brief time, I don't know if I'd say brief, but it was like months. When they were just showing the shorts, I thought this movie was going to be dreadful. But
yeah.
Lo and behold, they were keeping their, like, little thing in the back. Well, I don't know if it's little. They were keeping the Sunset Shimmer secret pretty well guarded. You know, once I started hearing about that, I'm like, this movie is going to be the best thing ever. And even with my high expectations, it blew them away. Like, I did not expect them to deliver anything close to this, and they did. So
is it fair to say you give this a Sunset Shimmer out of 10?
Yes, it is.
That pretty much solves that. Voice?
I went into this movie with no expectations. I know what to expect. Again, same thing I did with the first movie. I had no idea what to expect. First movie, absolutely hated it. This one, really absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it was a really kind of a polarizing effect to it.
Yeah, so that means the next movie is just going to be okay.
Yeah. Honestly, I think maybe there was a trick behind this. Maybe they made the first movie so bad that when we see the second one, we think it's so great. Maybe that was their trick. Maybe there was their scheme all along.
But overall, if I were to put this on like my favorites list, I'd probably put it somewhere between Hurricane Fluttershy and Party of One on my personal favorites list. I give it probably 3.5 stars out of 4. That's not perfect by any stretch. There are a couple nitpicks that that kind of bring it down, but it's not enough to officially break my enjoyment for the movie. And as for movies that I've seen this year so far, I probably put it, I'd say 4th underneath, again, going in one numerical order, Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America Winter Soldier, and the Lego Movie. So
That seems fair.
it's fourth in my book.
I
Right.
don't know if I can necessarily compare it to movies outside of Friendship is Magic, but comparing it like to my favorite episodes and whatnot, this is easily tied with Heartwarming Eve. Pinky Pride, I really liked that back in the day, but it hasn't lasted the age of time. This movie just was that awesome to me. It's up there as my top favorite with Heartwarming Eve. So
Yeah, I've seen a lot of animated movies this year. I've seen Son of Batman, Lego Movie, How to Train Your Dragon 2,
Yep.
and all those other movies. I would have to say this is some Equestria Girls 2 is somewhere in the middle, as opposed to it being at the bottom of my list. This was a lot of fun, basically, and I have no problem watching it again and again, if need be, for future
I'm
stuff.
buying the Blu-ray.
So, oh yeah, the Blu-ray I'm sure is going to be great. But yeah, thank you guys for being here for this. Cannot believe this is how I started, and this is how we're going to keep going from here on in. Yeah, definitely subscribe to Voice and Past because they're awesome and they're like my best friends and stuff. So yeah, thank you guys for being here, and we shall catch you on the flip side.